typically start class or start the semester by seeing if you have any questions for me before I start babbling up here for quite a while. Any questions? Okay, please do. If you have a question, raise your hand or just shout it out and let me know. Nobody has any questions though? None at all? No questions. All right, I have a question for you. What class is this? English 1101. What's the subtitle for it? Composition and rhetoric. Are you all in the right place? Yes? And you don't have any questions for me yet? All right, I have questions for you then. What is composition? Say it again. Good. Composing, writing, that's what it is, right? That's the easy part. What is rhetoric? Anybody know? It can be. It can be related to speech. So y'all don't know what rhetoric is, but you took a course called Composition and Rhetoric. They said you had to have it. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. If I were going to take a course, though, I'd want to know what it is before I took it. If I was going to sign up for statistics like they're teaching next door, I would want to know what I was getting into. So should we figure out what rhetoric is then? Is that a good place to start? We know what composition is. We said it's writing. Right? You can compose music, poetry, essays, books. You can compose a lot of things. You can write a lot of things. Rhetoric's a little bit different. You said speech. It can be related to speech. I'm going to go to the dictionary for a definition of rhetoric. All right, and like many words in the English language, rhetoric has multiple definitions. So we're going to have to kind of settle on one to use for this class. All right, rhetoric. Definition number 1, the art or study of using language effectively and persuasively. That sounds pretty good. I like that one so far. It could be a style of speaking or writing. So you said speech, so it can be related to speech. It can be a style of speaking or writing, especially the language of a particular subject, like political rhetoric. Or it could be verbal communication or discourse, which would be speech. And it also says it could be language that is elaborate, pretentious, insincere, or intellectually vacuous. His talk is mere rhetoric. That's not the definition we want to go with, right? We don't want to learn how to speak like that. That wouldn't help us at all, right? That kind of communication that's just empty of meaning, that's not helpful. So let's stick with the first definition. The art or study of using language effectively and persuasively. Lots of note takers in here, I can tell, right? Y'all have excellent memories. Brett, what's the definition for rhetoric? That's what I thought. The art of using language. That's simple enough. All right, we can boil it down to the art of using language. All right, the dictionary says the art of using language effectively or persuasively. That's a better definition. But what does that mean? What does that mean? What are we studying? If we're studying composition, which is writing, and then we're studying rhetoric, which is the art of using language effectively and persuasively, that's a whole lot more than writing, right? Using language effectively and persuasively, that's tough. That's not something I can necessarily completely teach you in 15 weeks. Right? That's something that some people don't pick up on in a whole lifetime. They can't communicate persuasively. They can't use language persuasively. We all attempt to do it at times in our lives. It doesn't mean we're successful. Right? Hopefully you'll learn some things in this course that will make you more successful. But it's tough to teach, right? Because when we're talking about using language, language just represents what? Words represent what? Feelings, ideas, right? So we're talking about communicating our feelings and ideas. That's not an easy thing to teach someone how to do, all right? Especially when we start talking about communicating your ideas and organizing your ideas in the most effective way, presenting your ideas in the most effective way. Because guess what? You have to have the ideas to start with. And I can't teach you how to come up with ideas, right? That has to come from your brain. That's why it's tough to teach rhetoric, because you need something to start with, and hopefully you all have some good ideas to start with, especially when I start giving you topics to work with. All right, but we have to figure out, what are we going to do with these ideas? How are we going to present them to the reader, which will be me, because I'm the one that evaluates your essays. Although actually, the other students in the class will be evaluating your essays too. So it'll be me and your peers will be looking at your work. So how are you going to present your ideas? How are you going to generate ideas in the most logical way? Right? So how do we do that? How do we persuade people? If you want something, if you want to get an idea across, how do you do it? With language. You can entertain people. That's true. So you could try and, you said emotions earlier, right? If you entertain them, maybe you make them feel a certain way, you make them feel happy. So that could be one way to persuade people, make them feel happy about something. How else? How do you try to persuade someone? You could scare people, so that's playing on emotions too, right? So if you say, you should wear your seatbelt, here's why. If you don't wear your seatbelt, you get in a really bad accident and knock your head, right? Hurt yourself. That could persuade someone to wear a seatbelt, right? Because you scared them into doing it. How else can you persuade people? You can play on their emotions. How else? Think about what advertisers do. They do it all the time. How do they get you to buy a product? They can give you facts and statistics and numbers, right? That's usually using logic, right? So logic is another way that you can use rhetoric, right? If you use language that is full of numbers and statistics, and if you're trying to convince someone to buy your brand of car tires, you might say, the other brand only lasts for 20,000 miles, right? Statistics, facts, that's logic. Emotions, we have logic. There's one other. The last one is credibility, right? Sometimes if you hear something from someone, and like maybe you're watching a commercial and it says 9 out of 10 dentists recommend this toothbrush. It's like, okay, well, so they're using credibility, the credibility of the dentists, right? So those semester to enhance your rhetoric. Does that make sense? Yes, maybe. It's 11 o'clock. You're not allowed to be tired now. You're allowed to be hungry, but you're not allowed to be tired. All right, so that's rhetoric. What else did I want to do today? I would take some time to show you around Angel, but I did it last night with this same class. I teach an 1101 class on Monday nights at 5:45, and I did that with them, and I recorded it. So I record the class lectures or the class meetings, and then I post them for you to look at. So I don't want to have to repeat that because that's something you could look at on your own, but I'll just show you a little bit. The Angel link is up here in the top left of the school's homepage. To log in, it's 34 _ plus your student number, and then your password is the same thing, and it says it right here from the Angel login screen. All right, so that's how you get in. My password is a little bit different. You're going to see a screen like this. Your course, I believe, is 20097. If you have multiple courses that have Angel components, Angel is like the online component of a course. Some of them are fully online. This is a hybrid course, which means half of it is online, half of it is on campus. So this is you Tuesdays at 11. If you have more than one course, they'll show up on that screen. If you click on it, this is our course homepage. It'll look like this. Everything you will need for this week is in this weekly folders folder. If you open it up, there it is, week 1. I go through all of the Angel stuff in the recording I did last night, okay? And it is right here, recording class orientation. So you need to watch that, right, at some point. I would try to do it today if you have a chance. There are other recordings here and here. Those are for this week as well. But everything is organized by this checklist right here. So if we open up the checklist, it will show you all the things you need to do for this week. Right? I worked through, last night, we went through every one of these things, and I showed the class how to do it, how to use the drop boxes and open up assignments. So as long as you're capable of getting to here, which is the Angel page, click on your course, lessons is where everything is, weekly folders, week 1. As long as you can get to this point, and watch this recording class orientation, which is just a YouTube video. I'll show you what it looks like. As long as you can get to this point, you should be in good shape for figuring out everything you need to know about Angel. All right, does anybody have any questions about it? They might be answered in the video, but if you have a burning question right now, I'd be happy to answer it for you. No? All right, if you can get that far, you'll be in good shape. You'll understand what's going on. What I did not get to finish last night, which is what I want to do today, is something from the week 1 checklist. I did not get to talk very much about No, I covered that. I covered all the instructions for the anecdote. Okay, right here, you see where it says basic sentence patterns, guided notes? If I open this up, it's a sheet that looks like this. All right, it's pretty basic. It's got some weird letter combinations on it, and these all mean something. It also has a key for filling out these. These are the 6 basic sentence patterns, and this is the key for filling them out. Now, in order to complete this, there are 2 recordings in the week 1 folder that walk you through the steps. These 2 right here. See, it says week 1 recording part 1, basic sentence patterns. The key, we fill it out together. Simple sentences and compound sentences. And then the second part I didn't finish, so it's 2 different recordings, complex sentences. That document right here, this is the most important document you'll have all semester. All right, we don't take a whole lot of notes in this class, but this is something you need to be very familiar with. You need to understand. If you go through the 2 recordings and you fill this out along with the recordings and you still don't really understand it, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, if you don't pick up these basic sentence patterns this week, maybe into next week, you're going to be in trouble for this class, right, if you don't understand these things. All right, this should be review for most of you. If you've been out of school for a while, it might be a little bit rusty, but you should be able to pick up on these concepts. Okay, it's combining clauses to make sentences. All right, so make sure you do that. It's probably the most important thing you'll do all semester. All right, if you don't get this, you're going to be in trouble with your essays and your writing. Okay, any questions about that? The videos walk you through step by step. We start with the key. You'll hear me speaking to a class, telling them, what these things mean. Then we'll go in and we'll do actual examples of each sentence pattern. Okay, I think combined the 2 videos are about an hour. All right, combined. No, I will not collect it. This is for your notes, but I would definitely print it off, and I would definitely take the notes as you go. Or if you're more computer inclined, you could just type it up as you're watching. It might be kind of hard to have 2 screens going on at once. But during the semester, I'm going to refer back to this. I'm going to say, where's your basic sentence pattern sheet? And actually below it, it's 2 pages. It has some common transitions, relative pronouns, common subordinating conjunctions, and I discuss what those are in the recordings. Right, so I tell you what those are and how they're used. All right, so those 2 pages, I would keep them with you every class. All right, every time you're writing something, keep those handy. All right, if you don't get the basic sentence patterns, you will be in trouble. All right, if it seems like totally over your head, if you watch it tonight and you don't get it and it doesn't make any sense, you may want to reevaluate taking this class. Okay, that's just a warning to you. I don't want you to struggle and fail because this was too far ahead for you. All right, there are other classes you can take if you need to brush up on your English skills. All right, any questions? No? Okay. All right, this is our syllabus. It's pretty long. It's about 8 pages, 7 or 8 pages. And that's because they make us include a lot of information that can be found in other places. But it is important. You have to make sure that you understand all this information. You will be quizzed on information from the syllabus and the reading assignments from this week. But this is our course schedule. So week 1, we go over expectations, sentence structure, and commas. That's covered in that basic sentence pattern recording or group of recordings that I gave you. Week 2, we're going to do some peer editing. So this week you have a writing assignment. It's the anecdote rough draft, not antidote. Anecdote is like a short story, and you're going to write one. And next week we're going to do peer editing. Throughout the semester, every time you write a major writing assignment, you're going to have other peers look at it, and you're going to review other peers' assignments to help give them feedback. right? And that's because I don't have time to look at everybody's paper when it's in the rough draft stage. Okay, it takes me long enough to grade the final drafts. So that you're going to do that next week. Then we're going to go through cause and effect, compare and contrast, description, division, and classification. These are called modes of development. They're basically tools that you have to persuade. Remember, rhetoric is the art of using language to help persuade. Right? If you want to persuade people, you can talk about cause and effect relationships. You can talk about comparing and contrasting. You can describe things, and you can divide things and classify them. Those are all tools that you can use to help persuade your reader. All right, so we're going to go through those. That'll take about 2 weeks. Then we're going to do Introduction to MLA Documentation. Is anybody in this class taking psychology right now? Yes, a couple of you. Okay, has your teacher warned you yet about APA and MLA? She has? Okay. MLA is a style of documentation. It's a style of formatting your paper, and it's a style of documenting sources. When you incorporate sources into your own writing, you have to give those sources credit, and there's a specific way that you need to do it. MLA stands for Modern Language Association, and that's what the arts and humanities use. So if you took an art class, a music class, literature class, composition class, you have to use MLA. If you're in the sciences like psychology, biology, chemistry, I don't know what else, any of the sciences, they use APA format, which is completely different. So if you're taking psychology right now, be careful that you don't mix the two up. All right, you're learning 2 different styles at the same time. All right, so it's challenging. Just make sure you don't mix it up. All right, the book has a whole guide on MLA style and documentation. All right, last semester students had to buy 2 different books. We switched to one book that has the handbook in there. All right, so now you only need to buy one book, which is a good thing. All right, we move on to persuasion and persuasive writing. You'll have to write a persuasive essay. Then you'll do the peer mark assignment, which is where you review the other students. We'll have a library orientation before you start the research process. All right, so the research process goes from week 8 until the end of week 10. Then we get into literary analysis and narrative writing, which is like storytelling. You're not going to write a story, you're going to analyze a story. Big difference, right? You're not going to write the story, you're going to analyze it. So that's the literary analysis. And then we have the timed essay exam, which is the week before final exams. You'll do it in class. Okay, and that counts for 30% of your grade. That's the biggest assignment you have. All right, the next biggest one is the research paper. That's 25%. All right, so those are the major assignments. All right, and that is 2 hours you'll get a given topic, and you'll come to campus, sit in front of a computer, and type your essay. All right, and then we finish with a comprehensive final exam, which is just multiple choice, and that's during finals week. All right, we have no class on Monday, week 3, but that's not going to affect you. And then Thanksgiving week. Which one's Thanksgiving week? This one? Yeah. No classes from the 26th to the 28th, so we won't have class on the 26th that day. The week for class starts on Monday at noon, and it ends Monday at noon. All right, so we're already into week 1. Week 1 ends Monday the 26th at noon. Week 2 starts Monday the 26th at noon. Does that make sense? I picked noon because I'm on campus and I'm available to help you. Many of your assignments will be due at the end of the week, so a lot of your assignments this week are due Monday at noon. So if you ran into some kind of problem, you could come find me, or you could send me an email, or you could call my office Monday morning. If I ended the week on Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and you were having a problem, you couldn't contact me, because campus is closed Friday and I don't check email Saturday or Sunday. Okay, so by ending the week on Monday, it gives you an opportunity, if you're having some kind of problem, to contact me. Does that make sense? All right, so we're in week 1 right now. It's over on the 26th at noon. Week 2 will begin right after that. Mm-hmm. Sure.
In week 1, you go over that in your lecture.
Mm-hmm.
The assignment.
The anecdote assignment?
Yeah.
I do. You have a whole bunch of assignments for this week, and I go through every single one in that recording.
Okay, all of them need to say
Yes, for the most part. Well, some of them are just reading assignments. So there's nothing you need to do for those except maybe print them out, read them, take some notes. If I give you reading assignments that are like files online, if they're not really long, most of them will be pretty short. You should print them out, because that way when it comes time to take the quizzes are open notes, open book. You can have that information right next to you as you take the quiz. And the quizzes are all done online through Angel. We don't do quizzes in class. In-class time is dedicated to talking about the assignments, going over the instructions. Once in a while, I'll do some kind of lecture, and once in a while, we might do peer editing in class. But for the most part, all of your assignments, your work is done outside of class, and all of the materials and drop boxes and everything you need is in Angel. Okay. Any other questions? Yes. I sure can. It is. Let me see if it'll take me all the way back. If I start here, this is the school website, which is just lineartech.edu. Top left is the link for Angel. And if you click on that, well, yours will look like... Yours will look like this. And then your username is 34 underscore plus your student number. And the password is the same thing the first time you log on. I don't know if it asks you to change it or not. What's that? Okay. But it doesn't make you do it automatically? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend it too. 34 underscore plus your student number. Should be a number that starts with 9. I think it's a 9-digit number that starts with 9. Password is the same exact thing. 34 underscore plus the student number. Other questions? Go ahead. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's in the week 1 folder. It's in the week 1 folder. It says like guided notes for week 1 recording. Other questions? Make sure you do those guided notes. Okay, because it's a hybrid class, half of class time is dedicated to online study. All right, and that is the lecture is video recorded for you rather than doing it live. Okay, so make sure you do it. If you don't do these basic sentence patterns and you don't get a hold of those this week, you will be in trouble. Right? You will not understand what I'm talking about when I refer to independent clauses and dependent clauses and conjunctions and transition words. Yes? You will. They should all be in the week 1 folder. If you ever cannot find something, if you're looking for something and you're thinking, well, it's week 1, it should be in the week 1 folder, it's not there, send me an email and let me know. I prefer that you email me through the Angel messaging system. All right, I can show you that real quick. When you log into Angel, if you have multiple classes, all of your mail from all the classes will aggregate into this box. Yours might look a little bit different. You can change the color of the screen if you want. But if you go into the class itself, it will separate your mail to just the mail from that class. And it'll be in this box right here. Okay, so if you need to email me, I prefer that you use Angel email. If you click View Inbox and Compose Message, you can find me by clicking on the To field, All Members of the Class, and you can scroll down alphabetically, and that's me right there. You have to make sure to push it over to the To box and click OK. All right, so now I'm in the To field. If you ever wanted to email someone else from class, you can do it that way. If you want to email everybody in class and say, hey, I was hoping someone could look over my paper because I didn't like what my peer reviewers said, or nobody peer reviewed my paper like they were supposed to, you could send an email to the class asking them to do that. Right? And you might get emails from other students in the class asking. So sometimes if you help out another student, they might help you out down the road. Okay, but you can communicate with the entire class that way if you want to. All right, so primary email for me is Angel email. If I don't answer your email within 24 hours, you can send an email to my Linear Tech email address, which is on the syllabus, jpalmer@lineartech.edu. So that's secondary. If you have an emergency, you can call my office number, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. And that's on the syllabus too. So that's how we communicate. Oh, I didn't cover emergency drills or emergency evacuations. Over there on the bulletin board, there are some colored pieces of paper that tell us what to do in case of a bomb threat, weather-related emergency, fire, things like that. There are 2 exits. If you go out the door and go immediately to the right, there's an exit down that end of the hall. If you go out to the left and then make another left, there's the lecture hall past the bookstore there, and there are exits on that side as well. All right, so we have 2 different options for exiting the building. If it's a severe weather thing, this hallway is pretty safe. It's considered an interior hallway, so we could just waited out in that hallway there. And if you have any medical issues I need to be aware of, maybe asthma, I don't know, any kind of allergy, heart condition, something that could cause an issue, please let me know. You can tell me after class or send me an email. But I've had incidents before where students didn't tell me and I didn't know what's going on, and that can be difficult. All right, so make sure you let me know. If you have any kind of disability, learning disability, physical disability, we do have a disabilities coordinator on campus. Her name is Mallory Safely, and she's in the student affairs office, and she can help you if you need any accommodations. I think that's it. Any questions? Yes. Yes. It's in the anecdote you're supposed to write is it should be a short story that reveals something about you or your personality. And it has to have a story element to it. So I don't want something that resembles an online dating profile, right? Like I like cats and long walks on the beach and romantic candlelit dinners, right? That's not a story, right? I need something that has a story element to it. So it could be, the time, I don't know, you helped save your little brother from drowning, and it shows that you're a selfless person, willing to sacrifice, right? So it's just an anecdote is a short, sometimes amusing story. Sometimes they're humorous, right? I like humorous stories. Those are fun, right? When you have to read 170 of them, it's nice when some of them make you smile or laugh. I don't typically like depressing stories, okay? So keep that in mind as you're writing, right? Because for some reason, people think that English 1101 is like their personal journal and diary, and they just want to spill all their beans and thoughts. I don't really care for that. It gets very depressing, okay, when you have 170 students and they all want to tell you about their dead grandmothers, right? It's not fun. Okay, so if you can keep things a little bit light, I would appreciate it. Other questions? Syllabus is on the course homepage. So that when I refer to the course homepage, I'm talking about this one. If I just say Angel homepage, it will be this that has all your classes. But if I say course homepage, it will be this one right here, and there's the course syllabus for you. Yep. Any other questions? Anecdote is due on Monday because the class ends. Remember, class ends and begins Monday at noon.